The transport shuttle landed with a soft hum on the metal platform of station. The doors opened, and cold air rushed inside. Park stepped out slowly, her small bag hanging from one shoulder. She looked around at the massive buildings made of dark steel and glowing lights. This was the Galactic Military Academy, the most famous combat school in the entire universe. Students from 12 different star systems came here to train. Could see them walking around the platform. There were the tall creatures with hard shells covering their bodies like armor. Their shells were stronger than any metal humans could make. There were the thin beings with large eyes who could read minds and see attacks before they happened. And there were the fast hunters whose bodies moved quicker than the eye could follow. And then there was a human woman, barely 160 centimeters tall, with black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore plain clothes with no medals or symbols of honor. She looked like nobody special. The admission officer was unnamed. He sat behind a floating desk and looked at papers. His face showed clear disappointment. "Earth student for this year," he said to the officer next to him. He did not try to speak quietly. "They only get one spot, and they sent us this." Said nothing, she just stood there and waited. Finally looked at her. "Room 447, training starts tomorrow at sunrise. Try not to waste everyone's time." Took her room key and walked away without a word. The dormitory hallway was long and filled with cadets from different worlds. They were talking and laughing. When walked past them, their conversations changed. "Is that the human?" someone whispered loudly. "Humans have been in the coalition for 60 years and never produced one good warrior," another voice said. "Look how small she is. She will not last 2 weeks. They always fail, always." Kept walking. Her face showed nothing. She found room 447 and went inside. It was a small space with a bed, a desk, and a window that showed the stars outside. She put her bag on the floor and sat on the bed. From inside her bag she took out an old photograph. It showed an older woman in military uniform. Many medals hung on her chest, shining even in the old picture. This was her grandmother, a hero from Earth's last war. On the back of the photo, someone had written words in faded ink. "They will always underestimate you. Let them." Looked at those words for a long time. Then she put the photo under her pillow and closed her eyes. The next morning she went to the main hall for the welcome ceremony. Hundreds of cadets sat in rows of seats. At the front, the academy commandant stood on a raised platform. He was an ancient named. His skin was gray and wrinkled, and his large eyes seemed to look at everything at once. "Welcome to the Galactic Military Academy," said. His voice was soft, but it filled the entire hall. "You are here because your worlds believe you are special, but belief means nothing here. Only results matter. Only strength matters. Many of you will fail. Many of you will go home in shame. Only the best will remain." His eyes moved across the crowd. For just a moment they stopped on. She felt something brush against her mind, like cold fingers touching her thoughts. Then it was gone. "Training begins today," continued. "Prove yourselves worthy or leave." After the ceremony, followed the other cadets to the training grounds. The area was huge, filled with different zones for combat, running, climbing, and testing. Instructors from various species stood at each zone, watching the new students with hard eyes. One instructor was human. His name was, and he was one of the few humans who worked at the academy. He was there mostly to help human students adjust, but everyone knew humans rarely lasted long enough to need much help. Watched as the cadets formed groups for their first exercises. The cadets moved together, their shells clicking as they walked. The stretched their long limbs, ready to show their speed. The stood calmly, their minds already scanning everyone around them. The 4 human cadets stood alone. 3 of them looked nervous, their eyes moving quickly, their bodies tense. But the 4th one simply stood still. Her face was calm. Her breathing was slow and even. Looked at her carefully. Something was different about this one. The first exercise was simple running. The cadets had to complete 10 circles around the training ground. The finished first, of course. They were slow but steady. They used their mind powers to push their bodies beyond normal limits. The human cadets finished last, all of them, but noticed something strange. The other 3 humans were breathing hard, bent over, exhausted, was breathing normally. She was not tired at all. She had run slowly on purpose. Interesting, said quietly to himself. A shadow fell over. She looked up to see a massive cadet standing in front of her. His shell was darker than the others, polished and decorated with small symbols that showed his family's military history. "You are the Earth student," he said. His name was, and everyone knew he was the top-ranked cadet at the academy. His family had produced admirals and generals for 6 generations. "Yes," said simply. Leaned down, bringing his face close to hers. "I have never seen a human last more than 1 month here. Your kind is weak, soft. You do not belong among warriors." Looked into his eyes. She did not blink. She did not look away. "Maybe," she said quietly. Laughed. "At least you know your place, little Earth mouse." He walked away, still laughing. Watched him go. Her face showed nothing, but under her calm expression, something dark and patient was waiting. She had not come to this academy to make friends. She had not come to prove anything to these aliens. She had come for something else entirely. And she could wait as long as necessary. The first week at the academy passed slowly for. Every day was the same. Wake up before sunrise, go to classes, listen to lectures about military history, battle tactics, and weapon systems, take tests, answer questions when the instructors called her name, never volunteer, never stand out. Her scores were adequate, not bad, not good, just enough to stay invisible. The other cadets quickly forgot about her. She was not interesting enough to notice. She sat in the back of classrooms. She ate alone in the corner of the mess hall. She spoke only when necessary and never more than a few words. But was not wasting her time. She was watching, she was learning. She watched how they moved, how their heavy shells made them slow to turn but powerful when charging forward. She watched how they used their speed, always attacking from angles, never straight on. She watched how they closed their eyes before using their mind powers, how there was always a small delay before they could read thoughts. She memorized everything. The physical training was harder, not for but for the other human cadets. They struggled every day. The gravity in the training rooms was set higher than Earth normal. The exercises were designed for species with stronger bodies. The 3 other humans were always last, always exhausted, always in pain. Finished in the middle of every test. Never first, never last. She ran slower than she could. She lifted less weight than she was able. She held back in every exercise. One afternoon, instructor found her alone in the hallway after training. "You are holding back," he said. Looked at him with empty eyes. "Am I? I have trained humans for 15 years. I know what your kind can do when pushed. You are not even trying." Shrugged. "I am doing what is required." "That is not the same thing." She did not answer. She simply walked away, leaving standing alone with his questions. The real test of patience came in the mess hall. Every evening the cadets gathered there to eat and socialize. Groups formed based on species. They sat together at the largest tables, their deep voices filling the room. The preferred standing, eating quickly before moving on. They ate in silence, communicating with their minds instead of their mouths. The humans sat at a small table in the corner. Nobody talked to them. Nobody wanted to. One evening, decided to have some fun. He walked over to the human table with 3 of his friends behind him. The mess hall grew quiet. Everyone wanted to watch. "Little Earth mice," said loudly, "eating your little Earth food. Tell me, do you actually think you can become warriors? Or are you just here to make the rest of us feel better about ourselves?" One of the human cadets, a young man named, looked down at his food. His hands were shaking. "We are here to train, same as you," he said quietly. Laughed. "Training? You call what you do training? I have seen children on my world move faster than your best athletes. Your species is a joke, a mistake. The coalition should never have let you join." Continued eating. She did not look up. Noticed. He walked over and stood directly behind her. "And you, the quiet one, the little mouse who never speaks." He leaned down, his face close to her ear. "Does your planet even have warriors, or just farmers and merchants who play pretend?" Kept eating. "I asked you a question, rodent." Slowly put down her spoon. She looked up with calm, dark eyes. "We have both," she said. Her voice was soft but clear. "And we have something else." "What is that?" "Patience." The mess hall erupted in laughter. Even some of the other species joined in. Smiled, satisfied that he had gotten nothing real from her. No fear, no anger, no challenge, just a weak answer from a weak creature. "Patience," he repeated, still laughing. "Yes, you will need much patience to survive here. Patience to accept that you will always be at the bottom. Patience to watch your fellow humans fail and go home crying. Patience to admit that your kind will never be our equals." He turned and walked back to his table, his friends following behind. The mess hall returned to normal. Conversations resumed. The moment was already being forgotten. But under the table, his hands were clenched tight. Her knuckles were white. The tendons in her wrists stood out like metal cables under her skin. She was not afraid, she was not sad. She was holding herself back, controlling the rage that burned inside her like a star about to explode. Instructor had been watching from across the room. He saw her hands. He understood. This woman was not what she pretended to be. Later that night, sat in her room alone. She took out her grandmother's photograph again and looked at the words written on the back. "They will always underestimate you. Let them." Then she pulled out another photograph. This one showed a younger woman with a bright smile and eyes full of hope. She was wearing the uniform of the Galactic Military Academy. Her name was, she was older sister. 3 years ago had come to this same academy. She had been smart, talented. Unlike, she had not hidden her abilities. She had tried to prove that humans deserved respect. And then one night she was found dead. The official report said it was a training accident, equipment malfunction, tragic but unavoidable. Did not believe that report. She had read it 100 times. She had found the small mistakes, the missing details, the questions that nobody had asked. Someone at this academy had killed her sister. Someone who believed humans did not belong. Someone who had watched start to succeed and decided to stop her permanently. Had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. She had trained in secret. She had joined Earth's special operations. She had completed 93 missions that did not officially exist. She had become something that no one would ever expect a quiet, small human woman to be. And now she was here, inside the academy, watching, waiting, learning who to trust and who to destroy. Thought she was weak. The instructors thought she was average. The other cadets thought she was forgettable. They were all wrong. Put away the photographs and lay down on her bed. Tomorrow, the first combat evaluations would be announced. Soon, she would have to stop hiding. Soon, they would all learn the truth about the quiet new girl. And by then, it would be too late. The announcement came on the 7th day. All cadets gathered in the main hall as Commandant read out the bracket for the first combat evaluation. This was the most important test of the year. Every cadet would fight one-on-one in the central arena. Winners would rise in rank. Losers would fall. Some would be sent home forever. "The matches have been selected randomly by the Academy computer," said. His ancient eyes showed nothing. "There will be no complaints. There will be no changes. Fight with honor or leave in shame." He began reading the pairings. Names echoed through the hall. Against, against. Species mixed together in combat that would test everyone's limits. Then paused. His eyes flickered for just a moment. Cadet of Prime, he read, will face Cadet Park of Earth. The hall went silent, then whispers exploded everywhere. The top-ranked cadet against the human. This has to be a mistake. She will not survive 5 seconds. The computer must be broken. Stood up from his seat, a huge smile spreading across his armored face. Finally, some entertainment. I was worried I would have to wait weeks before crushing something weak. His friends laughed. The entire section cheered. Sat quietly in her seat. She did not move. She did not react. The cadets around her whispered with pity. Poor thing. Someone should tell her to forfeit, save herself the injury. We'll break every bone in her body. Instructor watched from across the hall. He saw the smallest movement at the corner of her mouth. Was that a smile? The day of the match arrived. The central arena was the heart of the academy. It was a massive circular space with a fighting floor in the middle and observation decks rising up on all sides. Thousands of seats were filled with cadets, instructors, and visiting officers from across the coalition. Screens floated in the air, ready to broadcast the matches to the entire station. Walked into the arena through the eastern gate. She wore the simple training uniform given to all cadets. No armor, no weapons, just cloth and skin. Entered from the western gate. His natural shell was already stronger than most armor, but he had added extra plates on his arms and chest. His fists were the size of his head. When he walked, the ground shook slightly under his weight. The crowd roared when they saw him. He was their champion, their undefeated hero. When they saw, they laughed. Some pointed, some shook their heads sadly. Commandant's voice filled the arena through speakers. The rules are simple. Fight until one combatant surrenders, loses consciousness, or is unable to continue. Killing is forbidden, but injuries are expected. Begin when the signal sounds. And faced each other across the arena floor, 20 meters of empty space between them. Cracked his neck, the sound like rocks grinding together. I will try to make this quick, little mouse, but I cannot promise it will not hurt. Said nothing. She stood perfectly still, her arms hanging loose at her sides. Her breathing was slow and calm. The signal sounded, a loud horn that echoed off the walls. Charged. He was fast for his size. His feet hammered the ground as he ran directly at. His right fist pulled back, ready to deliver a blow that had ended dozens of matches before. A blow that had broken bones, shattered armor, destroyed careers. Did not move. She stood there watching him come. The crowd gasped. She was frozen with fear. She was too slow to react. She was going to die. At the last possible moment, moved. She did not run. She did not jump. She simply turned her body at the exact angle needed to let his fist pass by her ribs. The wind from his punch moved her hair. Nothing else touched her. As his arm extended past her, his hand came up. Palm flat, fingers together. She touched his elbow, just a light tap, nothing more. His arm went completely dead. The muscles stopped working. The nerves stopped sending signals. His fist dropped to his side, useless. A nerve strike, clean and precise. The crowd went silent. Spun around, shock on his face. He swung with his other arm, a wild hook aimed its head. She ducked under it easily. Her movement was smooth, economical, like water flowing around a rock. No wasted energy, no unnecessary motion. Her hand came up again. She touched his knee. His leg buckled. He stumbled, barely staying upright. What gasped, "What are you?" Began to circle him slowly. Her eyes were calm. Her voice was quiet, but everyone in the silent arena heard her clearly. Humans are not strong, she said. We know this. We have always known. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Animals that were faster than us. diseases that wiped out millions of our kind, ice ages that lasted thousands of years, rocks from space that burned entire continents. She let him struggle to stand. We should have died. 100 times over we should have gone extinct, but we did not. Roared with rage and charged again, using only his one good leg and one good arm. Pride and anger had replaced his strategy. Moved like smoke, she redirected his charge, using his own weight and speed against him. She spun him around with almost no effort, and then she struck 3 points on his back, one after another, fast as lightning. His entire body locked up. His shell, his muscles, his nerves, everything froze, a feedback loop in his nervous system. He fell face first onto the ground, completely paralyzed but fully conscious. Knelt beside him. "Do you know why we survived?" she asked. "Because we learned. Every predator that hunted us we studied. Every disease that infected us we understood. Every enemy that tried to destroy us we watched until we found their weakness." She leaned closer, her lips near his ear. "I have been watching you for 1 week. I know exactly how your exoskeleton connects to your nervous system. I know the 17 points on your body where a precise strike causes complete shutdown." She stood up and faced the crowd. Thousands of faces stared down at her in absolute shock. "Humans are not warriors like you," said, her voice ringing clear. "We are survivors, and survivors do not fight fair. We fight to win." The arena was deathly silent. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. Then Commandant's voice came through the speakers. For the first time anyone could remember, there was something like surprise in his tone. "Match to Cadet Park, flawless victory." Walked toward the exit, leaving paralyzed on the ground behind her. The quiet new girl had just defeated the best fighter in the academy, without taking a single hit. And this was only the beginning. The academy was in chaos. News of victory spread across the entire station within hours. Cadets talked about nothing else. Instructors gathered in small groups, arguing about what they had witnessed. Officers from the coalition military demanded to see the fight recordings again and again. The quiet human girl had done the impossible. Ignored all of it. After the match, she went straight to the training room. It was empty at this hour. Everyone was too busy discussing what had happened to think about actual training. She stood in the center of the room and began moving through fighting forms. These were not the standard techniques taught at the academy. These were older, stranger, movements that had been developed on Earth over thousands of years. Each one targeted specific points on the body where nerves, blood vessels, and joints came together. Each one was designed to disable or kill with minimum force. The door opened behind her. Instructor walked in and stopped at the edge of the training floor. He watched her move for a long moment without speaking. "You could have beaten him in 2 seconds, he finally said. "Why did you give that speech?" Did not stop her movements, because winning was not the point. Then what was? They needed to understand something. What? She flowed into another form, her body bending in ways that seemed impossible. That underestimating humans is a mistake they only get to make once. Leaned against the wall and crossed his arms. "I looked up your records, the real ones, not the ones you submitted to the academy." Paused for just a moment, then she continued moving. "Earth Special Operations," continued. 15 years of service, 93 solo missions, all classified, the Syndicate insurgency, the Frontier rebellions. Those records are sealed. I have friends in high places." He paused. "You are not a cadet, you are not even technically military anymore. You retired 2 years ago with the highest honors Earth can give. So why are you here? Why play this game?" Stopped moving, she turned to face him. 3 years ago," she said slowly, "a human cadet at this academy was found dead. The official report said it was an accident. Training equipment malfunction. Very sad, very tragic, nothing anyone could have done. She walked toward, her eyes locked on his. Her name was Park. She was my older sister. His expression changed. Understanding and something like sorrow crossed his face. I do not believe it was an accident, continued. I have read every document about her death. I have studied every piece of evidence. The equipment that supposedly malfunctioned had been checked the day before. It was perfect. The security recordings from that night were deleted due to a system error that had never happened before and has never happened since. She stopped in front of, close enough to touch. Someone at this academy killed my sister. Someone who believed humans did not belong here. Someone who watched her start to succeed, start to prove that we were worthy of respect, and decided to stop her. So you came here for revenge? No, his voice was flat and cold. I came here for truth. The revenge comes after. Was silent for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was soft. Your sister was one of my students. She was special, smart, determined, kind. She made friends even among species that had never liked humans before. She was changing minds, showing everyone that we were more than they believed. And then she died. And then she died, looked away. I asked questions back then. I pushed for a real investigation. They told me to stop. They said it would damage relations between Earth and the Coalition. They said it was better to move on. But you did not believe them. No, I never believed the official story, but I had no proof, no evidence, no way to find the truth. Nodded. That is why I am here. The cadets who bullied my sister, the instructors who looked the other way, the officers who signed off on the cover-up, they are all still at this academy. And now they are going to watch a human climb to the top of their rankings. They are going to watch everything they believe get destroyed, piece by piece. She walked past toward the training dummy at the edge of the room. And when they finally understand that they cannot ignore us, cannot dismiss us, cannot make us disappear quietly. She struck the dummy once. Her hand moved so fast it was barely visible. The dummy, made of reinforced materials designed to withstand punches, shattered into 100 pieces. Then I will ask my questions, and I will get my answers. Stared at the destroyed dummy, then he looked at with new eyes. What do you need from me? Information. Names of everyone who was involved with my sister, everyone who trained with her, talked to her, or was on duty the night she died. I can get you some of that, but the senior officers, the ones who really had power back then, they are protected. I cannot reach them. You do not have to, pulled a small device from her pocket. I already have a list, I just need you to confirm it. She showed him the screen. Names scrolled past. Instructors, officers, even a few cadets who had graduated and were now serving in the Coalition military. Read through the list carefully. His face grew darker with each name. Most of these are right, he said finally, but you are missing someone important. Who? His name is. He was a senior cadet when your sister was here. He was the one who reported finding her body. He was also the one who pushed hardest for the investigation to be closed quickly. Where is he now? He graduated at the top of his class. He is now serving as a tactical officer on the Coalition flagship, very powerful, very protected. Memorize the name, thank you. What will you do now? She turned and walked toward the door. Before she left, she looked back at one more time. Now I keep winning. I climb higher. I become impossible to ignore. And when the people who killed my sister finally realize they cannot stop me, they will make mistakes. They will try to silence me the same way they silenced her. Her eyes were dark and endless, like the void between stars. And when they try, I will be ready. She left the training room, leaving alone with the pieces of the destroyed dummy scattered across the floor. Outside, the station lights were dimming for the artificial night cycle. Cadets were returning to their rooms, still talking about the match. Walked through the crowds unseen. She was nobody again, just a quiet human girl who had gotten lucky once. But under her calm surface, gears were turning. Plans were forming. Names were being added to a list that would soon become a death sentence for everyone on it. Her sister's murderers did not know it yet, but their time was running out. Word of victory spread beyond the academy walls. Within days, the entire station was talking about the human who had defeated the unbeatable champion. Theories like viruses. Some said she had been genetically modified with illegal technology. Others claimed she was using hidden weapons or forbidden drugs. A few believed she was not human at all, but some kind of advanced robot. Nobody wanted to accept the simple truth. A normal human woman had won through skill, patience, and intelligence. The other human cadets noticed the change first. The mockery did not stop completely, but it became quieter. Other species no longer laughed openly at them. Instead, they watched with careful eyes, wondering what else the humans might be hiding. The young cadet who had been shaking when Bull hit him, found in the library one evening. "Thank you," he said quietly. Looked up from her reading. "For what?" "For showing them, for showing all of us." He sat down across from her. "I wanted to quit after that night in the mess hall. I thought maybe they were right. Maybe we do not belong here." "Do you still think that?" Shook his head. "No, not anymore. If you can do what you did, then maybe we all have something inside us, something they cannot see." Studied him for a moment. "What is your specialty?" "Engineering. I am good with machines and systems." "That is useful." She slid a small data chip across the table. "I may need help in the future, technical help. Are you interested?" Picked up the chip and looked at it. "What kind of help?" "The kind that finds answers to questions that certain people do not want asked." He understood. Everyone at the academy knew about the human cadet who had died 3 years ago. The official story had never felt right. "I am interested," he said. "Good, keep that chip safe. I will contact you when I need you." The combat evaluation continued over the following weeks. Advanced through the bracket, defeating opponent after opponent. Each fight revealed new aspects of human capability. Against a speedster named, she used prediction instead of reaction. She watched his patterns, identified his favorite attack angles, and set traps that caught him mid-movement. Speed meant nothing when your enemy knew exactly where you would be. Against a telepath named, she fought with her mind completely silent. She had learned to think in an ancient Earth language that no alien had ever studied. The telepath could not read what she could not understand. Blind and confused, fell to simple physical techniques she never saw coming. Against a massive heavy assault specialist named Used Endurance, she let him attack again and again, dodging and retreating, never fighting back. For 30 minutes, she simply survived while he exhausted himself trying to hit her. When he finally slowed down, she ended the fight with 3 precise strikes. With each victory, she climbed higher in the rankings. With each victory, she asked questions. Who trained with Park? Who was on duty the night she died? Who accessed her file after the investigation was closed? Most cadets and junior officers knew nothing useful, but some grew nervous when she asked. Some refused to answer. Some reported her questions to their superiors. Word reached Commandant that the human cadet was investigating her sister's death. He called her to his office. The Commandant's chambers were at the top of the Academy's central tower. The walls were made of transparent material that showed the stars in every direction. It felt like floating in space. Sat behind a simple desk, his ancient body still and calm. "You are causing disruption, Cadet Park," he said. "I am winning matches. Is that not the point of this academy? Fighting is only part of what we teach here. We also teach discipline, respect for authority, acceptance of how things are. And if how things are is wrong." Was silent for a long moment. His large eyes studied her in ways that went beyond simple vision. She felt his mind brush against hers again, testing her defenses. "I know why you are here," he said finally. "I have known since the day you arrived. My telepathy sees past your quiet mask. Did not react, then you know I will not stop." "I know." The old alien leaned back in his chair. "Your sister was exceptional. Her death was a loss to this academy and to the Coalition. The official report is accurate in its facts, but incomplete in its implications." "Yes," nodded slowly. "There are those at this academy who believe humans are a contamination. They believe the Coalition made a mistake allowing your species to join. Some of them decided to take action based on that belief." His hands tightened at her sides. "Who?" "I could not prove anything at the time. The evidence was too well hidden. The witnesses were too afraid to speak." He reached into his desk and pulled out a small data chip. "Perhaps you will succeed where I failed." He held out the chip to her. "This contains your sister's real file. Everything the investigation found, and everything it chose not to include. Security recordings that were supposedly deleted. Communication logs that were officially erased. Names that were removed from reports." Took the chip. It was small and light, but it felt heavy with the weight of truth. "Why are you helping me?" Turned his chair to look out at the stars. "I have lived for 400 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. Species that once ruled entire galaxies are now dust in memory. And in all that time, I have never encountered a species quite like yours." He glanced back at her. "Humans do not conquer. You do not dominate. You persist. You bend until everyone forgets you are there. And then, when the moment is right, you become unbendable. You survive everything. Disasters that destroy other civilizations only make you stronger." He smiled, a rare and unsettling expression on his alien face. "Your species does not need my protection, but perhaps it needs a witness. Someone to remember what happens when the galaxy finally learns what humanity really is." Stood the chip clutched in her hand. "And what are we, Commandant?" His eyes seemed to glow with ancient knowledge. "Survivors, just as you said in the arena. And survivors always outlast their enemies." Left his office as the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle. She walked back to her room, the data chip burning in her pocket. She finally had what she needed: names, evidence, proof. In her room, she inserted the chip into her personal device and began reading. Hours passed. The artificial night turned to artificial dawn. She did not sleep. She could not sleep. The truth was worse than she had imagined. Her sister had not just been killed. She had been targeted from the moment she arrived. A group of officers and cadets had watched her succeed and decided she was too dangerous to let live. They had planned her death for months. They had made it look like an accident so perfectly that Evan's telepathy could not find direct guilt. But they had made mistakes, small ones, a communication here, a security log there, pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, showed exactly what had happened and who was responsible. Memorized every name, every face, every detail. Then she began to plan. The academy had ridiculed the quiet new girl. Her first training session had ended their arrogance. Now the real work would begin. Somewhere on the Coalition flagship, a tactical officer named woke from a nightmare he could not remember. He felt cold, though his room was warm. He felt watched, though he was alone. He did not know it yet, but his time was running out. A survivor was coming for him. And survivors did not stop, not ever, not until justice was done.